Good evening. How are you this Wednesday evening? We are back with episode number 3 of the Better Life Blueprint, and this time we have a very special guest. In fact, all our guests are very special because they're tried and tested and completely checked out before they come onto the show. But this one is very, very special. Alpa Kaparia Teli. Let's first of all welcome her with something that is becoming a signature move here at the BLB. The drum roll. Ding, 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 ding. So, hi Alpa. How are you?
Hi, Anandika. I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, and it is so lovely to have you here. Let me introduce
Likewise.
you. Thank you. Let me introduce you to our audience first of all. Alpa is the founder of Ignite, the Spark School of Transformation, and author of the newly launched Ignite Your Inner Spark book. We're going to come back to it in a while. She is a shadow mastery expert and a certified life coach. Now, what is shadow mastery is this entire episode dedicated to. But before I give the stage to Alpa, I would like to say that why this is more important to me is because I have experienced Alpa's hand holding, Alpa's guidance myself about 2 years back, and it has been a game changer for me. It has transformed my life and how. Most of you who know me have only known me as a content writer, but somebody who's able to do this, what I've always wanted to do but not been able to do, is thanks to a lot of people, and one of them is Alpa. So, Alpa, please talk to the audience and sprinkle your magic onto the show who are here with us. Let's
Thank you, Anandika. Thank you so much. It's very nice to hear you saying this. You know, in self-development, we talk a lot about what we should do, and you should meditate, and you should journal, and you do yoga and meditation, exercise, and all of this. What very few people talk about is a shift in who you are and how you make decisions. So today also I had a client call, and when she was taking her goals on her one-on-one sessions, she was saying, I want to diet and I'm going to cut off sugar and I'm going to cut off maida and all of this. And I said, you're going to do all this, but where is that willpower or the energy going to come from? Because if you know you have to do this, if it was so easy, to kari leti na, matlab, how is it different?
yeah.
So I think what shadow mastery really does is transmutes that locked energy which is there in our sabotaging patterns
Hmm.
and really frees it up, making you fall in love with yourself. And that only when you genuinely love and accept yourself exactly as you are,
Hmm.
then only can you change yourself to anything. So this goes for children, this goes for us. You know, you try to tell a kid who's misbehaving, don't misbehave, it's never going to happen.
Hmm.
But when you really accept and love the child, then the child gets a chance to change.
Hmm.
So yeah, I love listening to your story, and that's all I did. I just held space for you. I, reminded you of how magnificent you were, and the rest was automatic. So
Hardly that easy. But yes, I agree. The entire journey, I think, of self improvement, of personal development, of self growth begins with taking a small decision that whatever is going on, and in whatever sphere of your life, I want to change it. I need help. You seek help, and the universe provides. And it is so beautiful that all these three episodes have fallen in place. Like, how? The first one we spoke about communication, and the second one we spoke to Nita about manifestation. And here we are talking as if taking a next step. Anybody who's listening and needs this kind of assistance, the natural next step to manifestation would be a guide showing up for you and holding space for you, like you rightly said, and
yeah,
helping you walk the path. Let's start with understanding the concept of shadows. Uh,
okay.
what are shadows? For our audience, I would just like to introduce them with us with the concept which was given by the Swiss psychotherapist Carl Jung, and a lot of people are familiar with his name. Some might be familiar with his work. So he gave the concept of shadows, which are our fears and emotions that lie deep buried within us. But I invite Alpa now to tell us more about it.
So, shadows are those parts of us which we have repressed, which we have not accepted.
Hmm.
So, it's literally like something came into your house, you didn't like it, you stuffed it under the carpet, you locked it in an attic, and you just forgot about it because you just didn't want to look at it. You did not want to identify with it. They stay there. They don't go away because you have not processed it, you have not looked at it, you have not thrown it away, you have just kept it, and it's festering over the years. So, what happens to these shadows or these parts of ourselves which we repress is that they calcify and they calcify into shadows.
Hmm.
So, on a normal day, we're going about our day, but over the years, if you see, so over 5, 10 years of these shadows accumulating, and sometimes even decades, you feel lethargic, you feel extra fatigued, you feel very reactive,
Hmm.
overreactive to situations, or maybe you feel very numb and you just zone out. You're going through the motions, but you don't really feel anything. Or you're very bad at setting boundaries, you're not able to take decisions. Uh, a lot of these small things show up in your life, which is actually a result of these shadows, which basically means that you are not showing up as your whole self.
Hmm.
You are on a daily basis just trying to show the best parts of yourself. So instead of the attention being on the road and really meeting to people, talking to people, and fulfilling your goals, your whole attention is going on, oh my God, is this part showing or not?
Hmm.
And that makes it a very inefficient way to fulfill our dreams and goals. So before you start manifesting or before you start setting your goals, this piece of managing your internal house, clearing up your internal home is shadow mastery.
Yeah, yeah. I so hear you. You were not doing this at the beginning of your career, Alpa. You
Yeah,
started like so many of us with the standard format, doing your graduation, going for an MBA,
yeah,
working in the corporate sector.
yeah.
Please tell us, how did you come about shadow mastery? Who introduced you to shadow mastery? How did it happen in your life? And
Yeah.
and so on.
Okay, sure. I'll be happy to share that. This is, Anandika, not a term which people hear very often. So because I've been talking about it, and very the first question I usually get asked is, "Ye kya hai shadow mastery?" Because so many tools of self development are there, but this is one which is really not talked about, right?
Hmm.
So I, like you rightly said, I was in the corporate world, and I was a very keen observer of life and also a very spiritual person from a very early age. So I was a very old soul kind of person. I've had various spiritual experiences by the age I was 20, 21. By the age I was 24, I was a teacher. I was a spiritual teacher already. So that was my path, and I have seen the power of meditation, of knowledge, of yoga, and it's great. However, I realized that in spite of doing this meditation and yoga and having all this knowledge, some patterns in life kept on repeating.
Hmm.
So, for example, I kept on feeling misunderstood. I kept on giving more and taking less. And somehow things were not really happy. But when things happened, I could take care of it, but something was amiss. Then
Hmm.
I took a break. I took a sabbatical when I had my kids. That is really when I started experiencing my life because till that time I was on the hamster's wheel. I was at work or I was at home, and there was really no time to think about life at all.
Hmm.
And suddenly, when that wheel stopped, I actually got a reality check of where I really was emotionally, financially, spiritually. And it was not a good space. So I did my coaching certification and I loved it. And but I was still not confident to tell people that I'm a coach because I felt that there were a lot of unresolved issues within me, and unless I got that sorted, मैं किस हक से जाके किसी को भी coach कर सकती हूँ.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure so many of our listeners who are live with us or who might come across this recording later on are going to identify with the same,
Yeah.
with what you're saying, and maybe they are or they must have been in the same space. Please
Yeah.
carry on.
That is how we start. And it was a very random, I joined some US, no, I did so many courses after my coaching certification course, and one of them happened to be Shadow Mastery.
Hmm.
Lorna Johnson, one of these coaches in the US, introduced me to it. I learned it from her.
Okay.
Uh, it changed my life because it was a very hard knock. It was like a wake up call. So,
Hmm.
the biggest example I can give you, of course, there are thousands of these. I
Hmm.
always thought I was a very nice girl, and it's very like the crown of that nicest person pageant would just like, it's mine. And when I did shadow mastery, I realized कि ये जो nice person का crown मैं पहन के घूम रही थी,
Hmm.
actually it was symbolic of the prostitute archetype.
Hmm.
And it was just a very, very rude shock for me that all these years of my life, I thought one way, and this was a completely different way of looking at things.
Hmm.
And there's nothing wrong in being nice. The thing is, I was being nice because I was scared to really be myself.
Hmm.
So it's not that I was perfect, but I wanted to appear perfect, and that was taking up a lot of my energy. So I started changing as a person. I started giving less attention to things which were bothering me.
Hmm.
And I just started focusing more on myself, what I wanted, really connecting with who I was.
Hmm.
So, in a way, I started seeing my shadows and accepting that instead of hiding it away. And it just changed my life completely. And I had no intention of teaching it to anybody. I was just doing a webinar one day and I was helping coaches make more money because that's one of the things I do through a very intuitive process.
Hmm.
I don't like the hard numbers way. I feel there's a better way of doing business.
Okay.
Uh, and in one webinar, I just mentioned that I did shadow mastery as a part of my journey. And I
Hmm.
had a batch of 10 people who had signed up for shadow mastery and
Okay.
not the webinar I was offering.
Okay.
So, not the course I was offering. So, after that, I actually made my modules, and that was the first batch. And now that's been 5, 6 years, and about 20 groups have gone through it.
Wow.
Very intense course, and it's improved each time. So, that's how Shadow Mastery came into my life, a bolt out of nowhere. In India, nobody was talking about it at that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
There are a couple of people now who are talking about it, but no one is doing it the way I'm doing it.
Hmm.
So either it's very concept heavy or but it's not done the way, like how you experienced it. It's not done like that.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm very happy and very fulfilled in the kind of results it's getting for people. It's like a life purpose.
Hmm.
Only in hindsight, I realize that it has become part of my brand and I cannot escape it anymore because people are now associating me with Shadow Mastery. So now I have embraced it and said, okay, so be it. Let's go deeper into that.
Yes. And I'm sure you're going to transform many lives. Not with just shadow mastery, but also with the fact that you've lived it, you've experienced it, you've seen the change, you've walked the path, and now as you hold the space, as you handhold people to do this, you know क्या मुश्किलें आ सकती हैं, what could be the stumbling blocks, what and I know from experience you're very good at calling people out. So that is an added asset for anybody who wants to work with Alpa. She will not let you take the easy way out.
Yeah,
uh,
I've been
Alpa,
told that.
Alpa, you used a very interesting word while you were describing this, archetypes. Please tell us
Yeah.
about archetypes.
Okay, sure. So, these shadows that we store away in these dark rooms, they just are like a black hole, and it's very difficult for us to understand it because we've never really had experience with this deep subconscious work.
Hmm.
So, for the sake of simplicity, what Carl Jung and his the other people who have worked on the archetypes in our human consciousness have done
Hmm.
is they have kind out. It's like shadows is like a tree.
Hmm.
They've branched it into different branches, so they are easy to recognize. So,
Hmm.
say if I'm in a battlefield
Hmm.
and I know that a particular kind of monster is there, and I know that monster's strengths and weaknesses,
hmm,
then I know which antidote to use to destroy it. So shadows are essentially branched out into archetypes. They are branched out into many archetypes.
hmm,
Shirzad Kamri talks about sage and saboteur behaviors in his books Positive Intelligence. He has different types of saboteur behaviors.
hmm,
Carolyn Miss, in her book Sacred Contracts, has again spoken about many archetypes.
hmm,
The ones that I teach, they are all part of that, but there are a few more. So
hmm,
I've just distilled it down to like four.
hmm.
So there's prostitute and lover, which are like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
There's child and sovereign, again, two sides of the same coin. Victim and warrior, and
Hmm,
saboteur and magician. So
hmm,
essentially, we are saying that this shadows, to make it easier to understand,
hmm,
four different natures of shadow,
hmm,
and to transmute that particular shadow, you need to embrace the light archetype of that part. So if you want to transmute a prostitute shadow, the lover is your antidote.
hmm.
And similarly for all the archetypes. So it's an easier way to make shadow work palatable, chewable, bite sized,
Adjustable.
and digestible. Yeah.
Agreed. Can you very quickly, for anybody who's listening, can you very quickly tell them, maybe show them how can they recognize
Yeah.
their own patterns, and
Mhm.
because I want this show to be a guiding light for somebody. Of course, we can't go very
Yeah.
deep into a
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
at the moment, but something that
Yeah.
they can use to see, understand themselves, understand their patterns. I think
Yeah.
everybody at one point or the
Yeah.
other realizes that something's happening with me again and again, or I am behaving
Mm.
in a certain pattern again and again. So वो
Mm.
तो समझ आता है, but then what do you do of it? What do you make
Mm.
out of it? Do you sit and think कि अच्छा ये pattern, I have to break this pattern? But I think if you share कि वो pattern क्या indicate करता है, या a guideline, that if this is what is happening with you again and again, this, like you said, is the antidote, and
Mm.
this is how it can help you uh, you
Mm.
know
तो
be
मुझे अब सारा शैडो मास्टरी का कोर्स यहीं बुलवा लोगी मुझसे
idea.
So I think a great way to start is if you go to the website shadowmastery.ignitethespark.in. There is a 40 question quiz that I have created. It's for people who can go just fill in the quiz and they get their dominant shadow pattern. So that is one way because it's so personalized to each person. So
Hmm,
that is one way for sure. Shadowmastery.ignitethespark.in. Now let's get into what you asked for. So let me give you the meat.
hmm,
So there are four shadow archetypes: the prostitute, the child, the victim, and the magician. The
magician.
prostitute archetype runs your life when you are willing to sacrifice what is your truth, your desires, your opinions in exchange for security, stability, and not rock the boat. So whenever you keep worrying, क्या सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग, that piece, you are in the prostitute archetype.
Hmm,
So, for example, you don't tell your boss that you think certain habits are obnoxious because you want to keep the peace. You
hmm,
don't tell your partner what you really want to do with your life because you're scared that you'll be abandoned and you'll be alone.
hmm,
Such things. So, that is when you're playing the prostitute. When you don't speak your truth, you gag yourself just because you want to be liked by others. That's the prostitute. The light archetype of that is the lover.
hmm,
The lover is when you have the courage to say, this is my truth. This
hmm,
is who I am. These are my dreams. And I'm not going to compromise on that.
hmm,
Take it or leave it, but this is who I am. So when you are at peace with yourself and you totally love and accept yourself however you are,
hmm,
even if you are a little greedy sometimes or a little angry sometimes, a little jealous sometimes, it's okay. You own it. You're not trying to be just nice and perfect, right? So the lover is not perfect. The
hmm,
lover is just at peace with whoever you are. Yeah. That's
hmm,
why my book says you don't need to be bigger or better. You just need to be more of who you really are. That's
hmm.
the
Yes.
core essence of it, right? So that's the prostitute and the lover for you.
Hmm, hmm,
Moving on to the child and the sovereign. The child archetype runs your life when you always tend to wait for some person, some situation to change
hmm,
before you follow your dreams. So
hmm,
you have really big dreams, you want to do everything, but you are thinking that it should come to you on a silver platter. And someone should give you permission कि जा सिमरन जी ले अपनी जिंदगी, right? So that is the child archetype, that you're just waiting for something to fall in place before it happens.
Hmm.
The sovereign archetype is when you say, hey, I have a dream, but it's no one's responsibility to fulfill it. It's mine. So I'm going to take the responsibility to fulfill my own dreams. So when you take complete agency of your own life and you stop playing victim or gagging yourself in deference to others, and you go and ask for whatever you want and you decide that I am going to fulfill my dreams. That point is the sovereign. Like the king, it's the last word. Uske aage, there is nothing. It is the ultimate. Like, okay, so the sovereign is like the buck stops here.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm going to do
So
it.
you take the ownership,
Yes.
is it?
Yes. The agency. Full ownership and agency, that's a sovereign. So we did prostitute, lover, child, sovereign.
Hmm.
This is the part where you decide what you want to do and you align it with your own true heart's desire. This is not aligned with what the neighbor's son is doing, what Sharmaji's daughter is doing, or what the world is expecting, or what the generation is doing. No, it's aligned to your own truth.
Hmm.
Then you step into the warrior. The warrior is like the general. So once the sovereign decides कि ये तो होना है, you
Hmm.
start working. Now, whatever it takes, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, whatever it takes to do what you want is the warrior. So then you are not saying, oh, you know what, I tried and I failed. Okay, try again. So whatever it takes,
Hmm.
there is no number of X number of efforts, nothing.
Hmm.
It is not done until it is not complete. So warriorship is the
Hmm.
warrior archetype. The shadow archetype of the warrior is the victim. The victim is when you feel that life is so unfair. Anandika, your life is quite nice, but my life, no, is not as like this because I know I have ABC, which could be in-laws, unsupportive partner, toxic boss, toxic friend, sibling fights, toxic partner. Kuch na kuch bahana you will have as a victim.
Hmm. Hmm.
That reason, person, place, situation, thing will have more power over you than your own self.
Hmm.
So you literally give away your power to everything else. Now, when you are younger, you will blame your parents कि parents ने नहीं करने दिया. Then when you get married, you blame your partner
Hmm.
that my partner is not liking the same things I'm liking. Then when you have kids, you blame your kids that, I have to set a good example for them and that's why I can't do it. So you just keep on transferring the villain, but the victim consciousness remains the same. So
Hmm.
until you are stuck in victim consciousness, you cannot be a creator in your own life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, an interesting thing I'm going to tell on this podcast, which I have not shared on other free podcasts, of course, I do share it in the Shadow Mastery course, is that mostly people feel miserable when they are stuck in the victim archetype. Usually, the reason they are stuck in the victim archetype is the prostitute archetype.
Wow. It
So,
because I have done the course, so I could just put the pieces together, but I would really want you to get into it and tell to
yeah.
our
So
listeners.
we feel stuck and we feel miserable and we feel helpless and we feel powerless. That's the victim archetype. We feel like that because we are not willing to take some decisions which will make people dislike us. So the reason for the victim consciousness lies in the prostitute archetype. Okay, basically you are scared of being alone, you're scared of being abandoned, you're scared of being divorced, you're scared of losing your job. That's why
Hmm.
you don't say anything. So if you want to become a warrior, the first place is to lover. Start loving and accepting yourself. Then you can set boundaries. These days people talk a lot about boundaries and they say you must have boundaries and you should have boundaries. But why are boundaries so difficult? They are difficult because you don't love yourself only. You don't believe you are worthy of setting boundaries. And
Hmm.
nobody gets there. We're just saying, okay, do it. But it's not happening because that is empty. So you need to fill the lover first, and then you can really set boundaries in your relationships, in your life, and everywhere. So that's a very beautiful aspect of shadow work. And the last piece is the saboteur and the magician. The saboteurs are the little devil on your shoulder. वो ओनिडा की ad में आता था ना? अच्छा, really? Do you think this is logical? Do you think this is practical? So, whenever you're second guessing yourself or being very left brained or relying too much on data, not having the guts to follow your intuition, it's the saboteur at work.
Hmm.
And then the saboteur cannot be killed by talking to the saboteur. You have to only kill the saboteur through action. So you
Hmm.
just go and do whatever you want and tell the saboteur, watch me. That's the only way to, get around the saboteur. And when you give in to your magician, that's when your manifestation really comes to fruition.
Wow. But tell me, Alpa, as I was listening to you, I was, of course, relating everything to my life. I think
Yeah.
all of them. Is that true for everybody? Do we,
Mm.
in our life, go through all of these at one point or the other? Like, for
Mm.
example, or is it situational? Like, for example, in one relationship, say with my boss, I might be this saboteur that I have to go ask for a raise, but it's like, who do you think you are? Why would he give you the raise? That fellow is doing much better than you. Look,
Mm.
did you see that
Mm.
presentation? With my partner in my marriage or in my whatever romantic relationship, I am the prostitute. I don't want to rock the boat, so I keep mum. So is it because I understand that everything is within me, the prostitute, whatever shadow, other shadows you spoke about, they're all within me. But do they come out in relation to a certain situation, or are they at play at one or the other uh, time? Because I think it is not possible for all of them to take the upper hand all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it like that?
Okay, so that is a good question, and it has a nuanced answer, but I'm just going to keep it simple.
Hmm.
So there's never one cockroach in the kitchen. अगर एक है, there are definitely more because shadows are kind of they work in cahoots with each other. And finally, they're all shadows, right? They're just four different natures. But finally, तो सब ice cream ही है. There is different flavors of it. But finally, the core nature is the same that they're sabotaging you. Uh, if you spot it, you got it. So, what Carl Jung says is that everything that irritates you about another leads to a better understanding of yourself. So, if you have spotted a pattern in somebody else, somewhere that pattern is present in you, and that is why you have been able to identify it. Had you not got it in you, you would just not be able to identify it. Now, the
Hmm.
universe is very kind, Anandika. So, these shadows that we close up in that box and we don't open it, we can't see it. So, what the universe does is it acts like a projector. So, everything that you have repressed and which irritates you, it magnifies it and shows it to you on a big screen in other people. So, when you find something irritating about another person, the first place to check is in yourself. Because if you spot it, you got it. That spark is essential to create a trigger. Like if I tell you, Anandika, you're an alien, you'll just laugh it off because you know that it's not true in any possibility.
Hmm.
But if I say, Anandika, you're very beautiful, but your nose na is little bit crooked na.
Hmm.
Now for next 2 months, you're going to be looking at your nose in the mirror every day. You're like, how can Alpa say that? But
Huh.
because there's something in you which felt that, and I sparked it. But had you had a perfect nose, you're like, her eyes are spoiled. Usko number lag gaya hai. Right? So that spark, that unhealed parts of us,
Hmm.
our trauma, so to say, which is again used very loosely these days, and I don't want to use it loosely,
Yeah.
but we have all experienced trauma in some form. And
Hmm.
our shadows really are a result of that. So we all have different types of trauma. Depending on that, certain archetypes are more dominant or less dominant. And very rightly so, in different relationships, also in different roles, different shadows may be dominant.
Hmm.
But finally, you are the same person.
Hmm.
So it is likely that one shadow will be more dominant than others.
Hmm.
That's what I've seen. So I've normally seen that the prostitute and the victim go together,
Hmm.
and the child and the saboteur go together. So if somebody has victim, they'll have a larger prostitute, and similarly with child saboteur. That's at least what I've seen, though various permutations, combinations are possible. So
I'm sure. I'm sure.
yeah,
This is a big, big world, and anything and
Yeah.
everything is possible. That I truly believe. I
Yeah.
I I would also like to understand, you know, the concept of, for example, light and shadow.
Hmm.
um, Science से अगर हम इंस्पायर हुए तो shadow and light cannot coexist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so does the same concept apply here also,
Yeah.
when you step into your, say, talking about the prostitute and the lover
Yeah.
archetypes, when you
Yeah.
step into your lover, the prostitute
Yeah.
diminishes, disappears, or is it still there? But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic question.
thank you.
So the way I speak about this is that again it's a law that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form.
Yeah.
So the same amount of energy that you have given to your prostitute archetype in life,
Hmm.
that level of energy you have available for your lover. So as you step slowly into the lover, जैसे वो horizon का that line is there ना. As you are stepping from that darkness into light, the more you are into light, that darkness dissipates.
Hmm.
So it's like if I shine a light on you, I cannot see a shadow in front of me. It has to fall behind.
Behind.
So whenever you shine the light of truth on your consciousness, the shadow has no choice but to dissolve. It is because we keep ourselves in darkness and we believe all these narratives that we have formed over the years, we start having a shadow party, a shadow fight.
Hmm.
But the shadow fight can only happen in the darkness. The minute the light enters, the shadow loses its. So it's like mornings and evenings. When you have little bit of light, the shadow is longer. But
Longer.
when the sun is right overhead and the strongest, the shadow doesn't have a chance. So the
Wow.
stronger you step into your light, the shadows will have no lesser and lesser place in your life.
And how do you strongly step into your light? How do you,
Yeah,
some part of it, I think, lies, of the answer lies in the fact that you build yourself up, your
yes.
self-esteem, your self-love. But like you've said repeatedly, these terms have come to be, abused, misused
Yeah,
so openly,
yeah,
and so they are misunderstood. So
yeah,
please guide our audience in this
yeah,
respect. How do they fill themselves up to be able to fight whatever their shadow might be?
yeah. Nandika, when I first learned about shadow mastery and I was going through a bad patch in life where I was, in postpartum depression, I was not working and all of this. And then my life changed. I was so excited. I said, "Oh God, I want to go and tell the world and I want to help everyone with this because we are in India. We have a patriarchal society for so many years. There
Hmm.
are many, many women who went through similar challenges as I did.
Hmm.
I realized that not everybody is ready to change their life.
Hmm.
Nobody you cannot change anybody's life.
Yeah.
You can only change your own life. So the first prerequisite to really changing your life is a decision.
Hmm.
So I reached a point where I was having various, I could not recognize myself in the mirror. My skin tone had gone three shades darker. I'd put on a lot of weight. My eyes were lusterless and dull.
Hmm.
And when had my first panic attack is when I said, enough, no more. I've lived my life like this and I've tried to keep people happy. They are not happy and I'm miserable.
Hmm.
Today onwards, there was a decision, and that's why my company is called Ignite the Spark, and the
I,
book is called Ignite Your Inner Spark.
yeah.
That time, that small spark in me said,
Hmm.
Bas, now I'm going to live my life,
Hmm.
come what may. Even if I die in the process of living with my truth, so be it. Let the chips fall where they may. When that spark got ignited, that fearlessness came in,
Hmm.
I became a different person because I started making decisions differently. I was not afraid of the consequences anymore, and I was willing to do whatever it takes. And so,
Hmm.
when those light archetypes were ignited, I had a chance to build on it then further to make the shadows less strong.
Smaller and
But
smaller.
that igniting that courage within you, like how that Devi, like the Durga or Kali,
Hmm.
igniting that spark, ke, I am good. not waiting for the world's validation. We cannot sorry for my language, you can't half-ass this. So you can't say, yeah, I'm going to be a bold woman, but I still want to keep everybody happy. Doesn't happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oprah Winfrey, one quote she said, many of her quotes are great, but she always said that well-behaved women don't create history. And that hit me like a ton of bricks because I was this very nice, well-behaved person. And I said, oh my God, but I want to create history. So then I had to choose one or the other. That same body cannot create history and still be keeping everybody happy. So you have to choose which one is more important for you.
Right, right, right. Ultimately, it does come to the choices that we make, the
Yeah,
decisions we take, and
yeah.
having the courage to live with them. It's not an easy path. Nobody says, nobody tells you if you've chosen to do this that this is going to be easy, but it is going to be so damn rewarding. That I think we can vouch for it.
Yeah, people talk about empowerment and they talk about women empowerment, but I think shadow mastery is as applicable for men as well.
Oh,
And I love what my guru, Shri Ravi Shankar says, and like we have a lot of women conferences in the ashram, and he says women don't need to be empowered. Women are already empowered.
yeah,
They just have to be reminded that they are already empowered because all this power is already within them. You don't need to give women any power. So
I
please don't try to do this thing to empower women. They do not need you to empower them. They are already empowered. They just have to wake up and say, oh, I already have this.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
So it's just about that shift of knowing that I already have it. I have everything I need.
hmm,
And if people don't like it, so be it. It's actually an act of growing up, Anandika.
hmm.
Since we were small, we were meant to depend on our parents for safety, security, depend on our peers for belongingness, and we feel scared to be alone. And because we feel scared to be alone, we mutate and mold ourselves into various forms just to fit in.
Yeah.
But we are completely safe by ourselves. We don't, and it's not that we'll not have any friends if we are ourselves.
Hmm.
We'll probably find a different tribe.
Yeah, I completely agree to this. Your vibe attracts your tribe. I
Yeah,
have personally been at a place in my life when friends of decades just fell off the path.
yeah,
It was a lonely place to be in. I
yeah,
think, but in hindsight, I think they did me a favor
yeah,
by leaving me alone. They gave me a lot of mental space, and I am eternally grateful to people I met uh, over these past few years who've just been there for me like nobody else has been. And I think that really is an indicator of growth.
true.
But it is so lovely to hear this message from Sri Ravi Shankar ji also, that women don't need
Yeah,
to be empowered, they just need to be reminded.
yeah,
And I think patriarchy is we are thankful to patriarchy for all this forgetfulness. But yeah, I think
yeah,
women are beginning to get there and
yeah,
understand that. And
yeah,
now I would like to, in fact, you touched upon it. I really wanted to ask the story, the idea, the philosophy, the thought behind this name. Ignite your inner spark.
yeah,
I'm in love with the cover. Having been a journalist, having worked with newspapers, I love breathing space on books and everything else. Social media posts also. But
true.
the spark, the colors, unmask, ignite, transform. Discover the power of your true self. Please talk to us about this.
Sure, I'd love to do that. So, 9 years ago, when I started my coaching practice, my coaching business,
Hmm,
I told you I went to change the world, and I realized that I can't do it. But if you had a spark,
hmm.
I could fan it into a flame. And that's why my company was called Ignite That Spark.
I have to
So,
tell you this. I have goosebumps. I I actually have goosebumps as you said that if you have the spark, I can fan it. I
yeah.
fantastic.
And I love doing that for my clients. I love fanning those flames. And if that means going the extra mile, talking to them much more than I need to, just to give them whatever it takes to see
Mm,
them as their most magnificent selves, I'll do it. It's a mission for me. It's much more than a business for me. So you've experienced bits of that as well. I will just not let it go. So I will fan your flame until you're that mighty fire. But that song चिंगारी कोई भड़के सावन उसे बुझाए सावन जो आग लगाए उसे कौन बुझाए. So
mm,
when if your fire is motivated by somebody else, it can go.
mm,
But when you ignite your own inner spark, no
mm,
one can take that away from you.
mm. Yes.
So when you ignite your own inner spark, it's literally like creating your own empowerment, your own happiness, your own fulfillment in your own self. And it's actually a very spiritual journey, Anandika. We come alone and we go alone.
Mm,
We are a social animal, but eventually our soul's journey is our soul's journey. People come, meet us, go, they stay for a reason, a season, or whatever. But
yeah.
finally, it's our journey. So, in this journey of our life, to keep our flame safe,
Mm,
I've seen a lot of people, when you meet them, you can make out whether it's a man or a woman.
mm.
There's no shine in their eyes. They are going through the motions, they're talking about the same things,
Yes.
but there is no passion, there is no involvement of their life force in their own life. And you will find them talking about the latest car they have bought, or the latest mobile they have bought, the latest place they have traveled, the latest house that they bought, the latest concert they went to, and that's life.
Mm, mm.
When you meet some people, they may not speak much, but when you look at their face, there is a
Yes.
glow of fulfillment around them, and there is some kind of mesmerizing, charismatic quality in their eyes. And you know that these are people who have worked with themselves, with their shadows,
Mm,
come to peace with themselves. And they will also be enjoying the travel and the concerts and everything. It's not that they don't do that,
mm.
but it is not done as a way of validation. It is done as an expression of their joy and their work. So, this spark which I'm talking about is that spark for yourself. It is not what other people see, but
Mm.
it is your own personal energy. Your self energy is your spark. And this is my first book, Ignite Your Inner Spark. I hope there will be more. But if you want to start your personal development journey, this is the place to start.
And you are going to do certain sessions and take
Yeah,
people who are interested in pursuing this
yeah,
um, through the journey, as we
yeah,
were discussing, as you were telling me.
yeah,
Would you like to say something about that, so that if anybody is
yeah.
interested, they can, of course, the book is readily available from wherever you want to buy a book.
So
Bookstore.
Amazon, Flipkart, and Tidal Waves, it's launching in 15th of February, so
Oh,
it
that's
will be available there as well.
I'm honored that you chose my birthday to do the launch.
Oh, how lovely. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, but all
You
the
know,
best for the launch. Yes, please.
thank you. No, I was saying some people got in touch, and this book,
Hmm.
a lot of self-help books give you one facet of self-development.
Hmm.
I was very keen to put the whole journey in one book. So you don't have to go to 10 different places.
Okay.
So it it's a great read. I've simplified it, but a lot of people want to do the work with me.
Hmm.
So for these people, I'm having a 8 week online course where they can actually read the book part by part, do the work with me, very nominal cost. So that program is ready to be launched today. I put out the first post. I've not given any details yet,
Okay.
but it will come. That it's going to be a very beautiful experience to actually do the work along with the book. So that is my intention and hope. And by the way, it's called the Blueprint of Transformation.
Wow. The entire idea of doing this series of conversation was to decode growth, and not decode growth in a very convoluted manner, which I find
Yeah.
happening all over the internet, but decoding the growth for people like me, common people, everyday people who
Yeah.
feel stuck in their lives, who want to change
Yeah.
but somehow are not able to make that change
Yeah.
sustainable, long lasting.
Yeah.
So that is the whole idea, and I'm so glad to hear that in via this book and via uh, your series that you're about to introduce, you will be taking people through this journey. And I think that would be very, very uh, great, because the book and the sessions with you will be complementing each other so
Yeah.
beautifully, that it
Yeah.
will really be easy for people to do this. And I know from
Yeah.
personal experience that this work is not easy. This work
Yeah.
is, you can't do it alone. You need
Yeah.
you need that support.
A
You need
guide by your side.
a guide by your
Yeah.
side. Very
Yeah.
nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I think, Alpa, you've been very kind. In fact, you've been more than kind. You've been very generous with sharing all that you shared with us today. Um, as a guide, as an expert, I would want you to leave the audience with something tangible that you think they can start doing, um, as soon as they leave the show, um, to level up in their life in the littlest possible way.
Mhm.
Do you have anything that you would like to say, share?
Yeah, sure. There are actually various things, but one thing is definitely buy the book. So that's one thing I want to say.
Hmm.
So we go step by step from understanding social conditioning to understanding your emotions to understanding your narratives to understanding your shadows and going into yourself. So
Hmm.
that's one.
Hmm.
Uh, the one thing is you cannot heal what you don't reveal. So I wanted to leave the audience with this self awareness, this practice of journaling, as they call it, but
Hmm.
journaling as a means to build a relationship with yourself. You know, these days people are hesitant to write things down because people can read it.
Hmm.
And even online, they're scared that it'll be found somewhere or the other. And I'm a big believer of journals, and I always have journals with me. You keep them in a safer place. But when you actually start journaling, you build a relationship with yourself. There is a self awareness. And self awareness is the first step to self education and then to self transformation. So, without you being aware of who you are, you cannot accept yourself as you are. So, my first step would be to be self aware. Start by just allowing yourself to be whoever you are and speak the truth about your life to yourself and
Hmm.
to others. So I think that's just one thing I can leave them with. The other thing I can leave them with is mirror work. I
Okay.
have found mirror work when I'm down to be very useful and very powerful. Many people talk about it. I did it naturally without learning it from anywhere.
Hmm.
Louise Hay talks about it on YouTube. It's just looking in the mirror and saying, "You're so amazing. I love you. I accept you. You're just amazing and you can do this." But the act of looking into your own eyes
Hmm.
dissolves some blocks in you.
Okay.
It also dissolves some masks that you are wearing. When you look deep into your eyes, they start dropping. So before you start doing these two things, doing mirror work and doing journaling, are a good start to get you on this path.
Very, very, very interesting and very empowering, if I must say so. A lot of times we do want to do something about our situation, about a condition, but we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
This series, these conversations are an attempt to get people at least
Yeah.
started, to tell them that
Yeah.
they don't have to sit alone and stay stuck. There is
Yeah.
a lot of help available. uh,
I think the one thing I've seen people hesitate to do, Anandika, is invest in themselves. They feel that I should invest in education, I should invest in good food, I should invest in gym. But when they have to go to a therapist or a coach, they say, "Oh, I don't have any money." Right? And they don't mind spending lakhs on dresses and bags and shoes because they can be seen. Na?
yeah.
But these things cannot be seen by the naked eye. But
Hmm.
the way your energy shifts when you invest in yourself, is priceless.
It's
And
priceless.
then you can, when you spend on those bags and all, you'll be able to actually enjoy them. And they will get value from you rather than you getting value from them.
Yes.
So I think I would really say invest in yourself. This is the time where we have all physical comforts. We have a great life. But if our lives are empty inside, work on reconstructing your inner world. And then your outer world will fall in place, not the other way around.
Mm. I also have this problem that I'm trying to, so the crusader in me really wants to take up this cause that as soon as we are out of college, we've got a
Yeah,
degree, we stop learning.
yeah,
तो हमको लगता है कि बस वो जो अभी तक हमने सीखा था that will just take us
yeah,
through life, and
yeah,
probably I was also one of those people who never felt the need to learn, and not learn in terms of upgrade and upskill myself only
yeah,
as far as my profession is concerned,
yeah,
but learn more about myself, learn
yeah,
about
yeah,
various ways in which I can
yeah,
help myself be a better
yeah,
person, lead a better
yeah,
life. So
yeah.
thank you so much, Alpa. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. I am eternally grateful for you, for your time, for your generosity, and just being this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful guide and a friend. I am so thankful to you. Thank you.
Anandika, it is always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. You know, you just had to ask me, and I had to say yes. So,
Yes.
thank you. I'm so happy to see you flowering, you blossoming into this amazing professional that you've become. I'm grateful to see your journey and more power to you. And I'm so happy you are bringing these conversations to people. I think this is the need of the hour. So I hope that you have a phenomenal success with your talk show, with your content, and everything you touch.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alpa. Thank you to everyone who's been watching us, who's been hearing us, or at any other time and stage comes across this. I hope you find the conversation a value add, a real value add, and you're able to follow what Alpa has suggested and see how that transforms your life. In case of more help, Alpa is available via her social media, and or you can just DM me and I will connect you. I see myself as a connector and a communicator in this journey. I hope to see all of you more and more, and I'm listening if you want a particular conversation. Good night, and thank you for your time. Bye.
Thank you, Anandika. Bye bye. See you.